Hello everybody and welcome to episode 33 already of the Bao Podcast. After a nice summer break, we're back with a new episode and with a familiar face. Chris van der Voorde. Chris is the founder of JuuNoo, a company based in the Kortrijk area, but which is also already active on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean in New York. Chris runs Belgium's fastest growing sustainable company. With JuuNoo, he develops demountable walls and circular office meeting pods. It's a beautiful story of Belgian circularity that is now also being sold in the US of A. The company has grown tremendously since Chris' last visit to the Bao Podcast. Therefore, I'm hugely excited to hear more about it today. Welcome, Chris. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for having me. Happy to be back.
Great to hear. So the last time you were here is already quite a while ago. I think around 3 years.
Is it 3 years already?
2.5, 3 years, okay. I think, yeah. Maybe we start there. What has changed? Maybe let's start to focus on JuuNoo. What has happened in the last 3 years with JuuNoo?
Well, I think the biggest changes as a company, we matured a lot. So where a few years ago, I think we were still like the startup. I definitely call ourselves now a scale up. As our product is really fine tuned. So it's really, it works on all fronts. And now it's like the phase of just scaling the thing up. And then, you were talking about in the introduction, we entered the US market like 3 years ago. And now that's going amazingly well. It's actually like this year, I think we're going to do a higher turnover in the US than in Europe. So that's I think the biggest change that happened is that, okay, it works, the product is good, we can scale it, but now it's like, let's go there where the culture is like, let's just do new stuff and go fast. So that's cool. I think that's a big change.
Yeah, that sounds great. Maybe also let's take a little step back and also explain to the people who didn't listen to your previous episode what precisely JuuNoo does. I gave a little introduction in the. I gave a little taste in the introduction, but maybe you can explain it again in like a couple of sentences.
Yeah, okay. So we are solving the issues of that we have drywall in the world, the hyprock typically in Belgium. And it's a market of like $300 billion a year. And that is the thing that we each year throw away. So we just build it and we throw it away. And I think it's not very, I would call it even dumb to throw away $300 billion a year.
It's 300 billion.
Yeah, that's the number. It's 1% of global CO2 emissions. So that's a lot. And that's the business model is you build it, you use it the single-use business model. And what we have created is a kind of Lego block system for walls that you build a wall, you use it, a nice wall, it's a good price, everything is just the same as a normal wall. But then at the end of a life, you can simply demount it and reuse it again. So we sell our products, we buy them back at the end of a life, and then we sell them again with a profit. And then we sell them over and over again. And we're now like 7 years active, so we have literally walls that have now like their 4th or the 5th life, because everybody thinks walls are forever. But to be honest, in our first market, office spaces, things change a lot. So walls get multiple lives, and instead of building it once, now you can repeat it, and thus reducing the cost of usage dramatically and reducing the CO2 emissions compared with that also with like 80 to 90%.
Very cool. And maybe something that I already saw in offices in Brussels are certain new products of JuuNoo as well, like the pods.
Yeah,
that's something I think that also
I think
didn't exist when we talked last time.
You're asking me a difficult question. You're asking an entrepreneur to think back in time. And normally I can exactly explain where I'm going to be in 3 years, but I have no idea where I was 3 years ago. But indeed, so we have demountable walls, blind walls, so like the gypsum walls. Then we added glass walls, so there we, as a product designer, we want to have in some area be the best in the world. And there we took acoustics. We made the best acoustic wall in the world, like 60 decibel sound insulation, an amazing high number. And then we combined the walls, the blind walls and the glass walls. We combined them, put a roof on it and a floor under it. And then we had meeting pots. And we're really good at that for 2 people, 4, 6, 8 people, that kind of projects that is now currently booming, because it's also for, if you're aiming for circular economy, it's very easy. It's independent of the environment. You just come in, you place it, click it together like Legos, and at the end you can just demount it, make different sizes out of it. If you don't need it again, we buy it back. If you want to make walls out of it, you can do it. These are materials that you can make walls out of. It's a good product, and it goes fast.
How fast?
We're talking about US. I think up to 90% of what we do there is the pots, is the meeting pots. So that's really a product, and that's now in a year or two that's going to be much bigger than in Europe, because it's an easier as an entrepreneur, it's an easier to sell product than walls. Nobody cares about walls. It's every time. That's really the story about. I used to start with the inside of walls. Really, nobody cares about the inside of walls. And then starting selling walls. That was already better, but the pots is really a kind of a hype right now. So we're using that to ramp up production of our walls, to be honest. So like one big change is also, like a year ago, we invested close to 1 million in the production of our interior, the inside of the wall, the production of that, to reduce our costs dramatically. So that now today, we're doing tests on the delivery of the machine, and this will reduce the initial embodied carbon of the studs with 60%, and also the pricing will be close to half of what it used to be. So like, if you have, it's typically startup materials. In the beginning, it's expensive because it's like little volumes. Once you get the volumes, suddenly your prices can drop dramatically.
And you have your own. You also design the machinery to produce the JuuNoo walls. And you have your own production site.
We have a 3,000 square meters production site in Kortrijk. A smaller one in the US because it's more expensive in New York.
I can imagine.
It's a little bit, it's more expensive. And we also have, like, the machine is at our partners. So we design together with them the machine, but they have like 24/7 people working there. So it's much more efficient that we put it there to work with it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so a lot has happened.
Yes, it's a startup. You run it yourself. A lot happens in a few years' time.
Would you still call yourself a startup or a scale-up?
We're a scale-up now.
Yeah.
I think 3 years ago we were a startup. Now we've got our products already. They're quality. They're good. We can deliver them quickly. Now just scaling up. It's a different step. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What have you learned from going to the US?
A lot of cultural things, I think. So I really appreciate the American culture of work ethics culture. It's an always on mentality, and it's a very fast mentality. Like the European mentality is like a meeting is an hour. In the US, a meeting is 15 minutes to 30 minutes. And it's still the same kind of phases. You do a little bit chit chat, you go to the point, and then you go to the chit chat at the end. But it's just all more dense. But then the important part, it's much more in depth, which I really appreciate. So if you're talking with architects and designers about sustainability, they know all the gritty, nitty details about it, and they test you. Like it's like in Europe, nobody digs that deep, which is sometimes sad as a product designer, because you have such an amazing product and you want to explain it to the world, but nobody asks questions about it. There they go into the depth, they appreciate the depth. But then it's just squeezed in time is much faster. That's one of the weirdest thing I learned to appreciate. And then fast, like we had in our company also, the cultural difference between the speed of response. Like my American employees, they had previous bosses where the boss was at their desk. If they didn't reply within 2 hours to an email of a client, then your boss comes to your desk and say, "What the hell are you doing? You need to reply. This is a client. This is very important." And then we explained it to the European team, and it's like, yeah, but wait, are you asking me to reply within 24 hours? This is I'm not used to that kind of cultural nuances. Is interesting to see that different worlds see the world differently, and then it's nice that you see the two teams come together and say, okay, let's bring the best of both worlds together. What is best for our clients, and that's very interesting and gives another depth to doing business.
Has the American team also picked something up from the European team?
I think it's aesthetics is an important one. I think so European design is very important in the US. They're not on the same level as not saying bad things about it, but it's a different product design level. We compared to competitors of ours in the US, like in Europe, our competitors are like 10% more expensive or something, 10% more material usage. Okay, it's a little bit less efficient, but like in the US, it's for purely the materials not installed, it's sometimes 7 times more materials. So to do the same stuff, they add 7 times the weight in steel or in aluminium to do exactly the same stuff. So that the elegance of a good design, that's something they learn from us, actually.
Okay.
That's
But then I would imagine that your sales pitch is very easy in America.
It's rather easy, but it's also where in Europe we respect. We have the European, the EU taxonomy that is now coming, so we have all the laws for the Green Deal and so on. Yeah, here people tend to start to care about circular economy, and it's getting into the laws and the financing. They're not, and they really don't care.
In the US,
they don't. It doesn't bring added value. So it's a value-driven society. You need to showcase them the value of something, and they don't care about it because it's not valued in society. So they don't. Sustainability is, for most of them, not a thing. Which is in Europe is much more a thing.
Right, but if you say that they, in a, let's say, a traditional way, they use 7 times more materials, then I can imagine that the price is also...
Yeah, the price is good. The price.
So if you just sell it on, we have a more affordable solution.
Yeah, that's now the pitch.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's a European design. It's slimmer, it's nicer, and the price is good. So it's where we, and this was a lot of learning lessons in the beginning, because we are used to selling the value of our system, the long-term value, thinking with the client, what with 30 years of usage, how is that? You're thinking about that to bring the total value. And now it's a two-sided part. With the volumes going up, our sales price is going down, so that helps already. And then another market where the market norm is higher, that helps double. So it's
I can imagine.
Don't jump too fast to conclusions. They also don't. It's still something new for them, and they're used to doing the same thing. It's like the conservative West Flemish methods. It's the same there. So it's
really?
Yeah. It's like they're used to doing the same thing over and over again. But then, and you notice also as a startup, as a scale-up. Yeah, in Belgium, if you do a pilot, it's like you get 5,000 euros, and it costs you 10,000. But okay, yes, you got a pilot. And there it's a pilot, let's do 500,000 euros. Now a little bit exaggerated, but it's 50,000 euros for a pilot, and you can make a bit of money on it. So that's a big difference, because you can make money on the pilot. But for the rest, it's really like, okay, 3, 4, 5 pilots before you get somewhere else. Somewhere in, like Industrious, one of our biggest clients in the US, is a really big co-working space. They're also in the WeWork movie. They're the
competitors.
Yeah, it's a competitor of WeWork, and they were like, the Jamie is in it in the series about We Crashed.
Yeah, I saw it. On Apple TV.
Yeah, very good series.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Really, it's very inspirational for startups. On how to run a startup until a certain point.
Until a certain point. Yes.
But Jamie from Industries is like so the number 2 in that space. But yeah, we were gone. Yeah, they are taking over all their leases.
Is WeWork gone now?
Yeah, almost gone. Yeah, it's crashed down.
Yeah,
It's crashed to me.
Yeah.
But these are now clients of ours, and that's like right 5, 6, 7 times that you need to really prove yourself. Every time you need to prove yourself, and then okay, now it's off. But those 5, 7 times were interesting projects, and they did it on a period of time of a year.
Okay, but that's completely different than in Belgium, eh?
That's that. In Belgium, they do 5, 6 projects over 5 years,
Yeah.
and every project is so small that you can't make any profits on it. So that's just a different culture.
So there, the pilot is bigger,
Yeah.
so you can make money on it,
And faster.
and faster.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So the adoption rate is faster.
Yeah, I
yeah.
can imagine. And why do you think that is? Again, just the culture? Or
Belgium has a culture of act normal. Doe maar normaal. Act normal. That's our culture. Don't stick your head up. Don't do different than everything else. Just do the same thing. There they applaud entrepreneurship. They say, okay, this is cool. There's a cool story behind this. Let's give you a chance. But they are also more strict than us in Europe. So it needs to be done. If you don't reply on your email within 2 hours, it's like you don't want to do business with me. You don't like me, okay, and we don't do business. So the rule set is different. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if you play by the rules, it's an interesting market. Yeah.
But you enjoy it. I can see it.
I really enjoy it. I like good product design, and I think Europe has. This is what I also tell to my investor. Europe and Belgium is an amazing country for innovation, for product design. We really like making the best out of the best and slimmer and better. And it's that product design. That's something I love. But with product design, you get, if it's good, less CO2 emissions. That's nice. Mm-hmm. But then you need to have scale. You have your product. My product is 80% less CO2 emissions. It's like the Bao living thing. It's 80% less CO2 emission. Amazing. But then you need the numbers of it to back it up. And that's high numbers, high volume. That's the US. And that's combination of making something good and sustainable and then selling it a lot. That combination is impact. And that is what we stand for. We want to create impact on the world and create a change in the world. That's our ambition.
Okay. Maybe to close off the little USA part, you also lived there?
Yeah, I traveled a lot.
You traveled a lot.
So I have a wife and 2 kids. So was, for a year and a half, I did 2 weeks Belgium, 2 weeks New York to get it up and running. And I will do that in the future again, I think.
And the wife and children are staying in Belgium?
Yes,
okay.
So I have an amazing wife.
Yeah, apparently so. Yeah,
yes, amazing wife. Maybe smart that I named my company after my 2 kids, so I called it after JuuNoo.
That helps.
That maybe some bonus points there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's needed. I think I learned a lot from American culture by being there, by making friends there, by going to events, meetings. It's a different culture, different rules. That's very, valuable to learn.
Okay, awesome. So if you look ahead to the next couple of years, what do you think, or what do you know, what are like the main goals and aspirations for the company in the next, let's say, 12, 24, 36 months?
So I think for me, we're at this moment wrapping up phase 1 of our company. So phase 1 of our company is having a product set that really is good for commercial real estate, for office spaces. So, and being able to scale that up in different countries in the world. Like we're selling in the Netherlands, we're selling in Switzerland, we're selling in the US, in Vancouver. We're selling all across Europe and America, selling those products. So we have clients, reference, installers, everything with our product suite for offices and commercial real estate in large. Now we are developing a clickable version of drywall. So we are currently in far advanced development of clickable drywall. What the clickable drywall does is actually it removes the plastering from the process of installing a drywall. So the dirty part is so with the dust and the sanding and all the boring stuff, we're removing it. And thus we are removing 4 to 5 euros a square meters of the installation price of such a product, which is very interesting because suddenly the circular and sustainable alternative will become less expensive than the current method of doing business with all the labor and with the plaster and all the stuff. It's going to be just click, 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 just like our MDF boards for the offices, but then for every market. And that's that product innovation, comparing with the fact that we now have sales channels in the different regions in the world, and we have installers who can install it. That combination, that is actually phase 2 of our company. So that's now the big next thing that we're working on, is getting that product finalized, fully certified for all the regions that we're in, and then bring it to the market. And instead of selling the value of the system, just saying, dude, like in the US a bit, it's the same result, but it's cheaper.
It's cheaper.
And it's circular and sustainable, but nobody cares, sadly enough, in the world. So then, then we don't talk too much about it. But secretly, that's the secret plan, is to just convince people, like, dudes, do the normal stuff and the sustainable stuff, do that. And we lure them in with that, and that's phase 2. And then phase 3 of the master plan is actually that we already see some walls coming back from the market. And if we buy them back, like now from the Proximus Towers in Brussels, 5 floors, the walls coming back, and we pay money to get the walls back. So Immobel happy because they get money instead of needing to pay somebody to throw it away. So they are happy because they get some financial income. But we're very happy because we can make more net margin on the second life of a product than selling new products. Mm-hmm. So for us, we harvest the materials and we can sell them again. Now imagine if you do that on a big scale. Yeah, you have New York, there 100 million a year is thrown out, maybe roughly. But instead of throwing it in the garbage bin, you just take it and you sell it again to 1 billion, something like that. You can go from 1 to 10 roughly with our product. And that's phase 3. So we're trying to flood the market in offices first, then other market segment with the clickable drywall. And then next phase is, okay, we get the materials back. We give them a second life. And then we are unstoppable. Then the circular economy is unstoppable compared to the linear economy. Just like the rockets, for instance. A guy finds out how to land a rocket, and suddenly the complete industry is shifted. You can't make rockets anymore if you can't reuse them. That's the ambition. But rockets go faster than walls, so we need maybe 20 to 30 years to get to the end of phase 3. But okay, that's construction, and that's the idea. That's where we want to go to.
Sounds very cool. Because if I have understood correctly, when you get to phase 3 and you're gonna put the used walls back onto the market, you can go dramatically lower in price than traditionally.
Yeah, and so the ambition is to totally destroy the single-use economy. So our sales price should be below the cost price of that of our competition. That's the idea. So that the competition who use single-use wall is just out of the market. That's how we're going to, because again, nobody cares about sustainability, sadly enough, not enough to really to do it, but they do care about the value and the cost price. And yeah, that's the idea. That's how we can. And the aspect there is the speed of change. Eh? So we have climate change and we need to solve it quickly. And with this method, I think, or this is the approach that I believe in, is actually the fastest way to solve it. It's a business model that solves the issue of walls. That's the idea. Like there was a business model of using horses, and then somebody says, okay, let's use cars and burn fossil fuels while doing it. Okay, and then how do you solve that business model? To bring another business model that's even better, more client friendly, and more cost efficient. And that's a bit of the same that we're trying to do. That we can, as a generation, say, okay, let's wrap up that growth of that exponential growth phase that we had as society, but that wasn't sustainable. And let's keep on exponential growth. We still need to grow it. I like growth. That's a good thing. That's a lot of advantage come from there. But we were better product design, thus we can make growth on a sustainable method so that we can keep growing.
Yeah. Yeah, from what I understand about with the things I've read and during the holiday, I also read a great book about the climate challenges that we are facing. Growth is crucial, but we need to enable growth without extracting more resources.
Yeah, it's
we need to lower resource extraction and resource usage and lower environmental emissions while continuing economic growth.
Yes, and that's perfectly possible. I think
absolutely.
It requires better product design. It requires a rethinking of product design, and that's it's not easy, but it's doable. It's just doable. Just let's do it then.
In the book, let me look up how it was named again. They gave examples from Sweden and the northern countries, who of course are always a little bit ahead.
But I don't agree with that. I think this is typical Belgium talk again. The other regions are ahead of us. I think we as Belgians, or in our regions, we, especially on circular economy, we have amazing examples in the world. So I don't agree that we say they're ahead of us. No, I think we need to say we are very good at what we're doing, and we need to tell it to the world and just sell it to the world. That's one of the things I've learned from the Americans.
Absolutely.
We need to stop doing the Flemish thing of like act normal. No. But really cool stuff, and let's scale it up. We're better than
absolutely. But the example that I was going to bring is just about the thing that which countries are farthest in lowering emissions while continuing economic growth. And they specifically, they mentioned the top 3 countries are Sweden, Norway, and I don't know the third one. And there for Sweden, in the last, I think it was like 20-something years, they have increased economy with 40%, and their emissions have dropped with 60%.
Yeah, so it's perfectly
possible. Yeah. And they gave other examples, like also very counterintuitive, but like, who did you think created more emissions? Your grandma in the UK, for example, standard UK person. Who do you think made more emissions, your grandma or you?
I think my grandmother.
Yeah, like 60% more, like crazy, because 5% of the electricity in the UK now is from coal. It used to be 95, and that made all the difference. Like, it's 60% less, and it's so counterintuitive because we all think, oh my God, we make so much waste.
But isn't it, for me, it sounds very logical, because I think we're starting to get that we need to harvest the energy that comes from the sun. So you have the sun that shines on the earth, and it makes plants, and those plants become oil, and that's what we used to harvest, coal and oil, but that's just sun energy that was in the ground.
Very inefficient.
And now we just skipped a few steps from the processes. We take the sun, either it becomes winds, which we extract, or sunlight itself with solar panels. And so the product design is evolved as it's more complex to build a solar panel than to build a steam train, for instance. It's a more complex element, so it requires better product design and better engineering skills. But engineers figured it out, and I think that is what we do with. We are just doing the walls, but this is what you do with your modules, with how you and every designer just needs to figure out parts, and we need to collaborate and then say, not like the other do better, but let's go to the US, let's just scale, let's design the product, make it good that the clients love it, and then let's go to the regions where they appreciate good design and want to scale things fast and don't have a million hours needed to discuss it. So that's how I see it, and that's
I think it's a very cool and very clearly phrased, like the final phase 3. I think that's
Yes.
I would love
and
to see that happen.
Yeah,
that sounds very cool.
And most of there is a potential that we find another master plan on the road, but now that's the goal. And it just like before I was doing JuuNoo, I worked at another company making interiors walls for the stand building and event sector. And in that sector, the lifespan is much shorter than office spaces. Like office spaces, it's 7 years and materials get reused. In trade show industry, that's a weekend. So change happens faster there. And there, within a decade, we could go from the linear model being the business as usual. Within a decade, we were able to shift the complete industry to a complete circular business model. And everybody who didn't shift it, they were actually going bankrupt. And this is also what I say to my clients. I'm not interested in selling to everybody. I'm interested in selling to 20 to 30% of the people that says, okay, let's do change, let's go for it, let's create an impact. And I want to make them successful so that they can push out the non-sustainable competition. That's like again, with innovation, this is always the same as the guys that were selling horses and stuff like that. Yeah, they said, let's keep on selling horses until the guy with the car came along. And okay, in the beginning, it's a bit a weird car, but in a few years, you have no horses to sell anymore. Mm-hmm. And that's the idea. Just find a small group of enthusiastic people saying, okay, we're willing to make a change, get them there, and then give them a huge financial advantage over their competitors so that they just beat out the competitors. And that's how you scale from 30 to 80% of the market.
In the event sector, this is already the case.
Yeah,
they went fully circular in a decade.
Roughly a decade. And they didn't know what circular was.
Common sense.
It's common sense. It is common sense. You don't throw away 300 billion a year. It's common sense that you try to find something that you can reuse it. It's common sense. It's not. You're not going to send a rocket to the moon and then have a very, very, very small part that's coming back. It's common sense that you try to reuse it. But if you think about it, in that age, it was the biggest thing that you could imagine. Like, wow, we put somebody on the moon. Yeah, we did it. And now in this age, it's like, okay, we're going to put people on the moon, but the complete thing is going to the moon and back, and we're going to do it not one time, they're going to hundreds of times, and which is actually, so we're going to fly hundreds of times to the moon with way less resources. It's the same thing like your grandma. It's a difference. It's the same thing.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned the rockets already a couple of times. Yeah. I don't know, are you following the development of the new rocket of SpaceX?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But I'm an engineer, so I'm an engineer with a passion for walls, but also for rockets. So I'm sorry for all the
so fascinating.
I think this is something as product designers we also really put it into our product design, is iterate fast, go fast, do experiments. This is important, I think, to learn and that's nice. That was a nice gift to the community of product designers, that you need to bring products fast to the market, learn from it. Yeah.
Do you follow the YouTube channel Everyday Astronaut?
Of course, yeah. Of course.
Have you seen the latest? Like the guide to the new factory that they're building?
Yes. I'm showcasing this to my employees, like in our warehouse. Like, let's paint all floors white so that we have a pristine, clean warehouse. And that's of course a very smart idea to do that. It's amazing, cool.
I find it so fascinating to follow the organization. That how long have they been there? Like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, in the 4 or 5 years they built out that.
There was nothing, and now when you see them walking through that factory, it's like it doesn't end. It's like
and I think
it's
this
insane.
This kind of thinking, this kind of big thinking, is what we need to apply on other sustainable products and materials. Like here in Europe, we have a good product design, we have good materials. We need to really think at the American grandness to it. That's why we do it. I truly believe that's how you make it happen, and how as a generation we can quickly go from from a throwaway single-use economy to a reuse economy, from a high carbon economy to a low carbon economy, while still having a lot of fun doing it and having enough wealth actually to grow.
the main difference why that American society can like not only think big but also do it, and the fact that it seems to be very difficult in the EU. Any idea?
Like we have Belgium, and that's already like Antwerp. Try to sell something as an Antwerp person in West Flanders. It's already difficult for a West Flemish people. I'm from East Flanders, so for me it was already so difficult. And then we have Wallonia, and then we have France, and then we have Germany, and have all those different things, and all of them have different rules, and all of them have different languages, and they all don't accept that you have a reference. They want to see a reference case in their town, not in the town 50 miles or kilometers away. It's a too divided region, I think.
Continent?
Yeah, it's a very divided continent.
Culturally.
And then combined with the culture of, instead of applauding for entrepreneurship, like, yeah, you're doing it, good luck, and okay, you failed, next. It's like, oh, don't do that. Oh, and you're failed. Ooh, you're bad. That kind of mentality against entrepreneurship, that makes it more difficult here. But again, the other side to look at it, it's a challenging environment, so requiring a more difficult region to do product development. So you need to make better products than in a region where everybody says, yay, nice, good job, and then just all follow the same thing, and then you get one thing that scales up, but it's just the same. It's not always the best thing. So both sides have their advantages, and it's like trying to find the advantages of both sides and combining that into something successful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I also always think when because now we have built projects in Belgium, the Netherlands, and then next month in Budapest, our first one.
Cool.
Yeah, but I always think like when we were able, if you are a couple of years further and we've scaled maybe all across Europe, I always think, okay, when that's done and we go to another continent or a more single-minded market like the US, it's probably like the most difficult thing.
I think it's
we already did or something.
I think it's for us, like we're also now active in the Netherlands and so on. It's as difficult to starting up a company in the Netherlands than to start it up in the US. So the efforts going into entering a new market, culturally speaking, is the same. Even if that in the Netherlands they speak the same language as you and so on, it's actually the same. It's the same other thing. But then if you look at the reward side, so you put the same efforts in, but then the reward side is like, the Netherlands, okay, nice country, but the US, it's a little bit more office spaces than Amsterdam. New York has more offices than Amsterdam. It's just the reward side is much higher. So I see it more in a trade-off. You have resource, you have time and energy to spend, and you get a bigger trade-off. That's the idea.
And capital investment.
But
if you would say like you've done the Netherlands and you've done the US.
The US is a little bit more expensive, but due to the fact that it goes faster, it's not. If you would look at over 2 years, I don't think it's going to be that much more expensive than the Netherlands, to be honest, due to the speed of getting projects back and the size of the first projects that you're doing. So yeah, it's the same. It's only to the Netherlands, you can take your car, and to New York, you fly. That's but you need to pass the Antwerp ring anyway. So it's
get that lucky. It's equally long.
If you're indeed. so that.
Okay, let's see, because we are approaching roughly an hour.
That's a long time already.
Yeah, time flies. Which market would you like to enter next?
Southeast Asia. Yeah, so Singapore, Hong Kong, that's on my list. That's there. I want to go there. But okay, if our investors would ever be listening, first we're going to scale nicely in Europe and America, showcasing that's phase one, finishing phase one. But yeah, we need to go there as well. It's a huge market opportunity. Also the same kind of method. So that's where I want to scale to next. That's use distribution and dealers and agents here in Europe, scale in US, scale in Asia. And then, it's for me as an entrepreneur that loves to work. It's not maybe the sustainable thing to do, but I imagine myself flying from Belgium to New York. If I had that, then I win 6 hours, then go to San Francisco 3 hours, then you go to the other side, you win again. It's 6 to 9 hours, and then if you keep on flying, you can work 1 day a week more, which is actually a kind of good. A good idea, I think, because then you can get more done in the same time.
I think your circadian rhythm will also very much enjoy this.
Possibly. But again, it's. I mentioned that my company is called after my kids, JuuNoo. They will ask me about climate change, and they will ask me, okay, Dad, what did you do about it? So I'll give everything to make sure that we get as fast as possible to that sustainable part, and then they can do other stuff, my kids. But that's what drives me. I'm not going to say, I had a little bit sleep deprivation. It doesn't matter, actually. If you're in a wildfire or if you're flooding or something, nobody cares about that you didn't have enough sleep. It doesn't care. So we need to solve those things. Doesn't matter.
Well said. Are there any technologies that you see popping up or that you are currently exploring also with JuuNoo that from a sustainability perspective get you really excited?
What we're talking a lot about it is circular value. So it's a technology, it's a big word, but it's the value of circularity. So I also started a non-profit to actually work on that. So Google that, Circular Value Institute. But it's putting financial numbers on the value of circularity. It's a very simple tool that you just calculate the value of the circular product, but it makes good product design. It lets you as an architect or a designer talk to a financial investor, to a bank, to the CFO of a company or CEO of your clients, and you could come together and agree on, okay, well, this new product design has a value. And that is an amazing tool. I find that you can explain the value of circularity to different stakeholders, to even to lawyers, which is very difficult for me as an engineer. Talking to a lawyer, it's weird, but there is something that everybody likes it to talk about circular value and as a common platform. So I think as a tool, we see it now with ourselves, but also with foam glass. We discussed about circular value. You see a lot of product designers going into it, and you also see a lot of financing people going into it. So I think that's a very promising mix if finance and product design come together with the ambition to create sustainable impact. So that's maybe not AI, but it's cool. Could also say AI is cool, but yeah.
Enough talk about AI already.
Yeah. So that's, I think, definitely worth checking out for people as a technology. Yeah.
Okay. And they can just find Circular Value Institute. If they Google this, they will find it.
CircularValueInstitute.com, and then they can find more about it and reach out to us if you want to just apply it and create an impact on the world. Yeah.
Very cool. Awesome. All right, Chris, as you maybe remember from the last time you were here, at the end, we always finish off with a couple more personal questions.
Correct.
So we shift a little bit from the focus on the company or the organization or the work that the guest is doing, more on the person itself. Maybe a good one for during this holiday season is there a specific book that you've recently read that you would like to advise to our listeners?
This summer I read the book of Elon Musk. That's part of my interesting book. Very nice to see the psychology of the person behind it and why he's so weird right now. Explains it a bit.
How do you mean?
There are reasons why he does weird. So the book showcased there is more depth behind it. Because I'm very sad that he's doing weird right now with with Twitter and so on. But there is you can understand as that human being. You at least understand it a bit.
I'm always fascinated when you because I've been on Twitter for many years. I find it, I think, the best social platform, although I'm not the biggest fan of all the changes that he's done. It's going more toward like the traditional.
It's gone.
It's no longer what it used to be.
He's a hardware guy. I think Elon Musk is a very good hardware guy. He's a very bad software guy.
Yeah.
Should stick to hardware.
Yeah, I don't like the changes that he's done to it. Anyway, but I think it's almost sometimes that there are two people. There's Elon Musk on Twitter, and then you listen to him on a podcast. Like this weekend, he was on Lex Friedman. He did like an 8.5 hour podcast with the Neuralink team, and the first 90 minutes was 8.5 hours. The first 90 minutes was with Elon Musk. Yeah.
Okay.
And then when you listen to him on a podcast, it's like a different person. I find it so strange.
It's also in the book. It's like his demon mode. He can go into demon mode sometimes, but that's why it's so interesting. So there's so many strange behavior, and you get a glimpse of how it comes. And I think it's also interesting to. Yeah, let's learn from the good stuff. Let's not do the bad stuff. That's how I see it. So I think was a very valuable book. And then of course there are many good startup books. Running Lean I still really like Ash Muria's Running Lean. I would definitely advise this to people. I would also advise a typical summer book about culture, company culture. Is who you are is what you do. Only what you do is who you are. That's also a very cool book to read. And like also the other one of the same writer, The Hard Stuff About Doing Hard Stuff. Really inspiring books for entrepreneurs. Less for product designers, but for the entrepreneurs under us. Yeah, very good.
Awesome. Some great tips in there. And then I have two final ones. Maybe if you don't have a good answer, it's fine. We can move ahead. But what's the best purchase you've done in the last year under €100?
Well, that's a good question. I think good coffee. I went to one summer holiday, very nice, good coffee. It's a few bucks, but it's unbelievably nice to be in the sun. Good coffee. I would say coffee.
Specific brand?
No, but just good coffee. Good coffee in this French sun. That's very good purchase.
Okay, nice. Final one. If you could have a drink with anyone dead or alive, who would it be?
Elon.
Elon?
Yeah, I would do it. I would do it. Yeah, sorry, this is getting boring, but I would do Elon. Yeah.
And what would you ask him?
I would like to do all the walls on the moon. I would like to sell
not on Mars.
That's the second one. So that's one of the more like that's step 4 or 5 of our project. It's like I would like to sell all the walls on the moon, then sell all the walls on Mars, and then go back to Earth and say, dudes, come, we have already 2 planets. Stop saying this is new and innovative. 2 planets have done it before. Let's do it here as well. That's one of my personal ambitions. So I just need to have one meeting with him, sell walls to him. He's going to be the guy that builds the stuff, most likely. So if he says yes, then I have one planet, a moon, and potentially a planet. So that's the ambition.
So you think JuuNoo walls on the moon?
On the moon and on Mars. That's
going to happen.
That's a personal
goal.
Yeah, I'm going to depending on the bus going there. So whenever things go flying up there, I think by then we'll definitely be ready, and I hope by then we would already have made a sale on those planets. That's a personal, ambitious goal.
All right.
Less Flemish.
If you get back for round 3. I hope we can talk about the first sale for the JuuNoo walls on the moon.
That would be a very good reason to sit back together.
In 3 years?
Yeah. And maybe, never know. Maybe anybody has an introduction to Elon. If you're listening, please give me one.
Exactly. All right. Then I think this is a good a place to finish off as any. Chris, I would like to thank you very much for your time. You're a very busy guy. You have a lot going on. So I really appreciate the fact that you made time again to come here and do this interview. I think our audience has also grown a bit since the last one, so I think some people are going to be introduced to you for the first time and to JuuNoo. Any final comments?
No, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it being here. And I'm looking forward to our third podcast. That's going to be an amazing, cool one, but that I'll bring champagne with me if we get to that goal. Then that's one that we need to drink on.
Okay, that's agreed upon. Chris, thank you very much. Good luck, and we see each other again in a couple of years.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the Bao Podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to subscribe to our channel. If you're interested in Bao Living in our Smart Adaptable Module or SAM, go check out our website baoliving.com. If you want to stay up to date, you can best subscribe to our monthly newsletter on our website or follow us on all social media platforms where we're named @BaoLiving.